What's up, sisters? This is your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel for another stellar build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. Today, we're shipping off to a galaxy far, far away to build ourselves into the ultimate Sith Lord. We're going to be using the Plasma Weapons Darkh Saber mod by Skirby, as well as the Way of the Force Monk subclass by Elobal, in order to create a dual-bladed, force-wielding monstrosity for you to rip your way across Faerun as a level 20 Sith Assassin. Before we get into it, thank you so much for watching. If you like these kind of builds, let me know by liking the video, commenting your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribing to the channel for more modded Baldur's Gate 3 content. If you want to talk Baldur's Gate 3 mods and get some tips for your own builds, come hang out in my new Discord. The link to join the Sisterhood will be down in the description and comments, but without further ado, let's get straight into it. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, and Darth Maul is one of my favorite characters. If you haven't seen the Clone Wars animated show, it's absolutely fantastic and features him very prominently during some of the best episodes of the series. Same for Rebels, TBH. Maul is a Zabrak from the planet Dathomir, who was chosen by Palpatine as a Sith apprentice to ultimately usurp Darth Plagueis. Like most of Palpatine's students, however, he was cast aside as soon as his usefulness was ended. For our Darth Maul build, we want to simulate the galaxy far, far away as much as possible within the lore of the Forgotten Realms. Unfortunately, there are no Zabrak in the Forgotten Realms. For that reason, I'm choosing to play this character as a tiefling, since they have red skin and also horns, making it about as close to a Dathomirian Zabrak Nightbrother as we can get. I'm going to set him up with some short, spiky horns, and absolutely cover his face in tattoos. We're also going to give our character some demonic yellow Sith eyes, because it just makes sense. You obviously don't have to do your character like this, but I want to just for the sake of the RP. Starting at level 1, we're picking the Monk class. Our subclass is within the Monk class, so we're going to level up similarly to other monks. But I promise you I am not taking Tavern Brawler this time. This is a strictly no Tavern Brawler build. Sorry! Since this subclass progresses through the standard Monk class, we're going to skip over some of the features that are standard to Monk. For our ability scores, we're going to focus on Dexterity and Wisdom, like other monks do. For our Dexterity, we're going to go with a 16 to start, since our lightsaber attacks and armor class will scale off of this stat. We're doing the same with Wisdom, because we're sort of a spellcasting monk, and many of our Force abilities will use Wisdom as the spell save DC and hit chance. We're going to go with a 14 in our Constitution stat for the HP bonus, and we're also going to put 10 into both of our Intelligence and Charisma stats because we don't need them too much, and for our Strength we're going to go with 8 because we don't really need it at all. All of our stuff is going to scale off of Dexterity, so we are going to use that almost exclusively. That is about all for level 1, so we'll go ahead and move on to level 2. At level 2, we get access to our Step of the Wind dash and disengage abilities, as well as Patient Defense, both of which are standard for typical monks, so we will ignore these for now and move on to level 3. At level 3, we're going to pick our subclass, and this is where we get to become a fledgling Sith Lord. We're choosing the Way of the Force Knight subclass, which will give us access to a few really nice features to start. First off, we get the Alert feat for free, on account of our Force sensitivity heightening our senses. We also start to learn various lightsaber forms, and will gradually learn more as we level up. These forms allow us to adjust our combat for more offensive or defensive fighting styles, and are based on the 7 lightsaber forms from Star Wars. We also get access to Mind Trick, which is a cantrip version of the command spell that costs 1 key point to use. We'll also get both Force Push and Force Pull, which each cost a key point and enable us to either push or pull enemies toward or away from us, knocking them prone in the process. Disarming Cut is an ability we have that forces a strength save from our enemy, making them unable to use their weapons, and we also get a 3-person cleave attack. Lastly, we get Light Blade Flurry, which uses a key point on our bonus action to strike twice with our lightsaber. It's sort of like Flurry of Blows, but with our saber. We're also going to get to make our choice of robes and saber at this point. Since we're Darth Maul, I'm going to be using the Dark Monk set, the Hood of the Dark Monk robes, Dark Monk cloak, and the boots of the Dark Monk. And for our weapon, we're going to grab the Double Light Sword because it is the double-bladed version. I mean, how freaking cool is that? Hell yeah. You'll notice Darth Maul has a tail, he's a tiefling, we're going to pretend that's not there. Either way, this whole outfit that we put together using these two aspects of our subclass are just really cool and make us look like Darth Maul. Hell yeah. Before we move on to level 4, we're going to take a quick look at our lightsaber combat forms. Form 1, Battle, allows us to wield our saber with both hands for an additional 1d4 force damage on weapon attacks. Form 3, Defense, gives us the ability to increase our armor class by 2, counter range attacks, and while we have disadvantage on attack rolls, so do our attackers. Combat Form 6, Flow, on the other hand, is a neutral stance with no particular benefits or weaknesses. It's a good middle ground if you don't want to get disadvantage on your attacks or just don't want to do extra damage. I don't know why you wouldn't, but this is here for that. At level 4, we just get to pick a new feat. For our feat, I'm going with an ability score improvement for 2 more points into dexterity. This will give us more armor class, more initiative, and more accurate and powerful weapon attacks. At level 5, we get access to our extra attack, as well as the standard monk stunning strike, unarmed and melee versions. Really awesome to have. At level 6, we get access to our key empowered strikes, making our attacks magical. This is mostly important for open hand monks, so we can more or less ignore it. More importantly, we can spend 2 key points on our action to use Greater Force, which is an area of effect force push similar to Thunder Wave. We're also going to get to choose a new combat form, and we have 3 new options to choose from. Form 2, Dueling, allows us to increase our armor class by 2, and instead of deflecting range attacks, we can deflect melee attacks. We also gain the ability to use our special weapon actions Disarming Cut and Blade Flurry while we are in this form. Form 4, Speed, is similar to the battle form, giving us an additional 1d4 force damage with our weapon attacks while having the ability to use our weapon actions Light Blade Flurry, Cleave, and also a new weapon action called Acrobatic Strike, which allows us to make a sudden jump across the battlefield, gain the effects of haste for 1 turn, and we can jump again without a bonus action. Form 5, Counter, gives us the best of both worlds. We can deal 1d4 force damage and can counter both melee and ranged attacks. We do, however, only get access to Disarming Cut and not our other weapon actions while we are in this form. No wonder Anakin stuck almost exclusively to Form 5. Darth Maul's main combat form of choice is Form 7, which we won't learn for a little while, so we're going to go with Speed for the time being. At level 7, we get access to our Monk Stillness of Mind ability and also Evasion. Nothing particularly new here, that's not a standard Monk ability, so we'll go ahead and move on. At level 8, we get to choose a new feat, and I'm going to go with Great Weapon Master for even more damage with our melee attacks. Our dual-bladed lightsaber is a 2-handed weapon, so taking this is perfect for even more damage. At level 9, we get access to Advanced Unarmored Movement. Difficult terrain no longer slows us down, and we can jump even farther than before. We also gain access to the new ability, Kinetic Force, which is effectively telekinesis using 2 key points and our main action. We also get the new passive feature, Force Echo, which I'm not entirely sure what it does. There's no tooltip here, and it's not on our passive list anywhere, so we're going to pretend that it doesn't really exist here. I know that in the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor games, Cal Kestis has access to the Force Echo ability. It's a pretty rare Jedi power. This is a really fun one that allows him to kind of sense the history that is associated with different items. I don't know exactly what this means for Baldur's Gate 3, so like I said, we're going to pretend it doesn't exist because it doesn't say anything anywhere. At level 10, we get the standard Monk Purity of Body ability, which makes us immune to poison, and we can't be poisoned, affected by disease, thanks to our purifying ki flowing through our meridians. For our purposes, we're going to pretend that our ki is just our midichlorians. Shh. At level 11, we're learning our favorite combat form. Form 7, Ferocity, grants us the additional 1d4 force damage per attack like the other ones, but otherwise turns us into an offensive beast. We can use Light Blade Flurry, Cleave, and the new Force Onslaught while in this form. Force Onslaught is kind of like the Charger ability, allowing us to charge forward and strike every creature in our path. At level 12, we're going to be picking a new feat, and I am choosing the Savage Attacker feat for even more damage with our melee attacks. We are Darth Maul, after all, the most savage of attackers. Everything past here for the Way of the Force Knight Monk is more or less utility. We'll get some more movement speed and more key points and an ability that lets you deflect spells even. However, I'm not satisfied with just that. So what we're going to do is start multiclassing a bit to pick up some spicy new features. At level 13, we're going to multiclass into the Fighter. The main thing that we get here is a fighting style, and I am going with Great Weapon Fighting because our weapon is two-handed. At level 14 and Fighter level 2, we get access to Action Surge, which is undeniably awesome. Not much else at Fighter level 2, so we'll go ahead and move on up. At level 15, we hit Fighter level 3 and get to choose our subclass. I'm using the 5e Fighter subclasses combined mod by some Radagnoth, which gives us access to a bunch of new subclasses. You would think that we would go for the Psi Warrior because it has an undeniable Jedi Sith flavor, but we already have access to a lot of very similar abilities. Instead, we're dipping into the Samurai subclass because both Jedi and Sith fighting styles are inspired by Samurai. This subclass is going to give us access to the Fighting Spirit, which is a resource we can use on our bonus action to generate 5 temporary hit points and advantage on all of our weapon attacks for the remainder of that turn. We can choose to pop this at the start of our turn, use Action Surge, and then get 4 attacks, all with advantage. We also get to choose some new abilities, and I am just going to go with Persuasion because that feels very Sithy. At level 16, we get Fighter level 4, which gives us access to a new feat. We're going to be taking another ability improvement to cap off our dex at a score of 20. At level 17, we get Fighter level 5, which normally would give us access to extra attack. We already have that, though, through our Monk class, and they do not stack. Oh well. Level 18, we take Fighter level 6, which grants us another feat. I'm taking another ability score improvement for 2 more points into Wisdom for better Force abilities. At level 19 and Fighter level 7, we learn Elegant Courier. This passive adds our Wisdom modifier to Persuasion rolls, which is super helpful. We can also choose a saving throw to gain proficiency in between Wisdom, Charisma, and Intelligence. I'm going to go with Wisdom for even more boosts to our mental fortitude. And finally, at level 20, we're going to be picking our last feat, and you probably called it. I'm taking 2 more points into our Wisdom so that we can cap ourselves off at 20. That's just about all for the leveling for this character, so let's get to talking about some gear. If you remember, when we first chose our subclass, we get to start with our choice of these different robes, being either the light side robes or the dark side robes. When we choose that, we'll spawn with all of these different items on here. We have the hood of the Dark Monk, the Dark Monk cloak, the robes, and the boots. We do not have a specific pair of gloves, but we can always replace those if we decide to. Each of these pieces is pretty simple and just adds a +1 bonus to our armor class and initiative for each one of these garments that we choose to wear. When we chose our subclass, we also got the double light sword, which is a 1d8 +6 force damage weapon. If you wanted to, you could very well stick with this weapon from the point that you start your subclass through to the end of the game. It is plenty powerful enough for that. But because I am crazy, I'm going to be using the OG version of the weapon, the Plasma Staff from the Scurvy mod, and equipping that. This is a really fun weapon that gives us access to a bunch of really cool abilities. A lot of these abilities will go over the head of our subclass, so we just have to exercise a little bit of restraint not to use the unlimited force abilities. But starting from level 1, we get Deflect. You may use your reaction to deflect projectiles back. Arcane Enchantment will give you a bonus to your spell save DC. By the time I'm at level 20, it's giving me a +7 bonus, which is absolutely insane. Skin Burster Force, starting at level 5, when the wielder deals melee damage with this weapon, they gain 2 turns of Force Conduit. Imperial Retaliation at level 7, when the wielder succeeds a saving throw, the foe that caused the throw needs to make an intelligence saving throw or be stunned for 1 turn. Additionally, we'll get access to basic force abilities at level 1, which are technically unlimited, but include a force pull and push that do a lot of damage. If you don't want to use these because they don't require your key points and you want to keep yourself a little bit more balanced, then by all means, you can refrain from using those abilities. But otherwise, we have Force Rush, which allows us to charge forward, dealing 20 to 27 force damage to all creatures in our path. This one is also very powerful and can be overcome with some of our other items from our skills, so we're going to more or less ignore that. What we're not going to ignore, however, is Force Twirl and Lightning Flurry, which get added at level 7 and 9 respectively. Force Twirl does 8d6 lightning damage, charging up our staff before releasing it around the caster, damaging enemies in a large area, dazing them and marking them prone. It also does 8d6 force damage, so this is a huge AoE that does a ton of damage and it makes you feel like an incredibly powerful Sith Lord. Even more, we have Lightning Flurry, strikes a target 4 times in succession, dealing 4d20 force damage, plus 4d20 lightning damage, plus 4d4 force, and 4d4 lightning. This uses an action and a bonus action and can be used once per battle. This is really cool and just makes you feel insanely powerful and allows you to use some lightning abilities. Darth Maul never used lightning, but that's okay. Who cares? He's a Sith. We're having fun. This is Baldur's Gate 3. I don't care. Because this armor is also not enough for me, we're going to go ahead and replace it with some other armor pieces. If you really wanted to, you could use the set from Skirby's mod, which adds the Dark Hood, the Dark Robe, the Dark Cape, Dark Boots, and lastly, the Dark Gloves. These are incredibly powerful and, similar to the weapon, give us access to a bunch of new abilities that will make you insanely powerful. You gain a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. We already have a +7 from our saber, so sheesh. We also get the alert fee at level 4, which we already have, no worries. At level 6, when you succeed a saving throw, the foe that caused the throw takes 1d4 psychic damage, and you also get access to Dance Macabre at level 11. Dance Macabre is a very powerful ability that does 1d8 plus 19 force damage, plus 1d12 force damage, plus 66 force damage, channeling a huge burst of speed and strikes 6 targets in the blink of an eye. Absolutely bananas. The Dark Cape, on the other hand, gives us some abilities like Force Rage. Once per long rest at level 7, when your hit points are reduced to 0, you regain 2 to 12 hit points and gain Force Rage. We also get access to the Force Cloak and the Force Throw abilities. Force Cloak allows us to turn up to 7 creatures invisible. Attacks against it have disadvantage. It attacks with advantage, and we cannot cast it in combat, so this is an out-of-combat utility for turning ourselves invisible. While Force Throw is very similar to our telekinesis ability, so once again, we can choose to ignore this if we want to, but if you really want to, this one allows you to trigger extra attack, so you can interweave this with your combat strikes, so that you can send someone flying and then do a weapon attack, or do a weapon attack and then send someone flying. It's really up to you. The Dark Gloves will give us a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Might of the Dark Lord will allow our weapon attacks and unarmed attacks to deal an additional 1d12 force damage. And at level 3, we'll get access to Force Stasis and Force Choke. Force Stasis allows us to hold up to 7 targets in place with Force Barrier. Targets become invulnerable. It's kind of like Hold Person or Command Grovel, but instead we just kind of set someone aside and we can't attack them for that time. It's good crowd control to be able to just say, no, I don't want to talk to you for a minute. Let's take care of the rest of the battle and then get to you later. Force Choke, on the other hand, is exactly what it sounds like. Use the Force to choke up to 7 targets, holding them in place and dealing 5d6 force damage per turn. It's a concentration ability and can be cast until long rest. So basically, you can just do this until someone dies. And finally, we have the Dark Boots. At level 6, you can't be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, and can't slip on grease or ice. Ferocious Form, at level 8, you have a +1 bonus to armor class and saving throws, as long as you're not wearing armor or holding a shield. At level 9, when you fail a saving throw, you may use your reaction to succeed instead. And at level 3, you'll gain access to Force Teleport, which is basically an ability that allows you to teleport anywhere that you could see on a bonus action for free. You can just do it. You can, if I wanted to go over here, I can. If I wanted to go over here, I can. And so on. You get my meaning. If these armor pieces are a little bit too strong for you, which, to be totally honest, they're a bit much for me, so instead I'm going to go with a different set of gear. I'm going to use the Mask of Soul Perception, which gives us a +2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative rolls, and perception checks. We're going to use the Deathstalker Mantle from a Dirge playthrough. Once per turn, when you kill an enemy, shroud yourself in primeval darkness to become invisible for 2 turns. The Cloth of Authority, you can't be frightened and cannot be afflicted with other emotion-altering conditions. You have advantage on intimidation checks and insight checks with an armor class bonus of +1. The Crater Flesh Gloves will give us an additional 1d6 force damage every time we score a critical hit, and give us a +1 bonus to our strength saving throws. And the Bone Spike Boots will give us a +1 bonus to our armor class and saving throws as long as we're not wearing armor or holding a shield. We'll also have a jump distance bonus of 1.5 meters, as well as the Brutal Leap class action. Because this obviously doesn't make us look like a Sith in any way, I'm going to apply the Dark Set Vanity Clothing so that when we do this, we can still look like Darth Maul and still have the benefits of all of our cool new gear without being so terribly overpowered. For our amulet, we're going to use the Amulet of the Harpers, which gives us advantage on wisdom saving throws checks, and also a free use of the shield spell. We're going to use the Killer's Sweetheart. When you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be a critical hit. Once spent, this effect refreshes after a long rest. And we're also going to use the Ring of Protection, which gives us a +1 bonus to our armor class and saving throws. That way, at the end of the day, we have a nice big boost to our armor class of 23. We have a 10 base plus 5 dexterity from our 20 dexterity score, a +5 from wisdom, given our 20 wisdom score through unarmored defense, a +1 from the evasive instinct, +1 from the Cloth of Authority, and +1 from the Ring of Protection. That pretty much covers everything for all of the gear and items that we're going to use, so let's go ahead and pop into some combat and see just how powerful this character is. So, first things first, I'm going to give Darth Maul an Elixir of Bloodlust so that he has some Bloodlust and will regain an action whenever he kills a creature. So let's go ahead and pop ourselves in a turn-based mode, drink a potion of speed so that we can become hastened, and then let's get combat started with these weenies over here. What do we want to do? Let's do this. Let's Kinetic Force. 95, 90, and 65. Let's do this mage. Bug him. Should we throw him at him, or over there, or just off the edge? Well, we can only throw him 18 meters, so it's not letting us throw him off the edge. That stinks. Throwing people off the edge is always difficult, so let's just throw him at this guy, because there's a 90% chance. Shioing!
You were witnessed assaulting someone. You're headed for the cells.
No, I'm not. Initiative 16? That's crazy. It's like we're playing tabletop. We've got our hasted action, but let's see what we can do. We're gonna come over here and let's use our fighting spirit charge on our bonus action here. And then we're gonna activate our action surge so that now we have another action. And we're going to take advantage we have advantage on pretty much every attack now. This guy's prone, so we have advantage on that one anyway. But because we used our fighting spirit, we've got advantage on that. Let's go ahead and hit this guy. Ba-ba! Critical hit. 10 and 30. Oh my god, he's gonna die. Once more. 11 and 28. Critical hit. Hell yeah, brother. Now let's get this guy. Now let's get this guy again. We got when you kill the creature, your next attack roll will be a critical hit. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. Now that we bloodlusted, we have a fourth action. Let's hit this guy. Critical hit. 10 and 29. Let's do it again. Critical hit, 31 and 6. Boom, boom, boom! We're screwing people up, and we just did basic attacks. That's insane. We're still hasted, so let's give it a minute. I didn't even have to use any of my special weapon attacks here. Next time, I'm going to try out the Force Twirl and the Lightning Flurry, just because I want to do 16 to 192 damage. So, because of that, we're going to go this way, and we're going to go and find this group of guys over here. Oh, I forgot to mention, I haven't even done it. I didn't even put myself in our combat form. We're going to activate our combat form 7 Ferocity, which gives us two-handed grip. You deal an additional 1d4 force damage with weapon attacks as long as you're not wielding a shield. We're going to pop that on, and now we have access to 3 new abilities: Light Blade Flurry, Force Onslaught, and Cleave. We get our big Cleave here. We get our Light Blade Flurry, which is just a double attack, and we get Force Onslaught, which allows us to just go boom, 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 and attack like everybody in a line. Crazy. But we're not going to do that yet. We're going to drink a potion of speed. And then we're going to force twirl, I think. Actually, first we're going to attack someone. Let's come over here. Let's cleave. I like that. Cleave. Swing. Nope. Too bad. Initiative roll of 15. We're definitely going first here. We have our bonus action back. What are we gonna do with it? We're gonna We're gonna Fighting Spirit again, just because I want to. I have the charges, might as well use them. And then we're gonna Force Twirl. Okay, that's crazy. We killed a bunch of people, so we have our action. Let's go ahead and Force Onslaught ourselves. They're all dead. Let's do this. Let's come over here. And then let's Force Onslaught our way to this guy. Hell yeah, killed him. Got them. That's all of our actions for the turn, so let's end our turn. And move on. You can try. Yeah, miss, buddy. Yeah, miss, buddy. Don't trip me. I'm shielding. Can't do that. Come here, bud. You can try. I guess that worked. Oh, action surge. Screw you, dude. I'm Darth Maul. I'm a Sith fucking Lord. You think? You think you can try? Let's do Lightning Flurry, just because I want to show what it does. Let's do this guy, because I'm pissed at him. My god. My god. My god! That was a lot of damage. That was a lot of damage. We didn't need to do all that, but I don't care. Now we're gonna Kinetic Force, because we have an action, and we're going to use that to do this. Take this guy, and set him over here. Shazoom! And now we're gonna come back over, and give these guys a smack. Sorry, sir. We have our extra action, so let's give this guy a smack. Ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, boom. And one more time. Ah, we missed. Oh well, end our turn. Just this one guy left. Go ahead and shoot me. Shoot me again. I'm going to deflect my missile. And again. Shabba! Where are you going? Oh, I'm not hastened anymore. Try. Just try. Try and hit me. I'm Darth Maul. You're just a lowly little Nabooian guard. This way. Hit him! We're invisible. Yeah, so clearly, this class is absolutely bananas. You don't even need the special lightsaber that we're using. You could very well use the double light sword and get just as much power out of it. We definitely did not need to use that, what was it? That Force Twirl and the Lightning Flurry, because those were absolute overkill. Lightning Flurry would be insane on a boss, like if you needed to go up against someone and you're playing solo. If you're playing solo, definitely use the high-powered gear, because it's going to be nice and strong and give you a nice bonus that you need. But otherwise, you're pretty powerful on your own. You're a full freaking Sith Lord. You're Darth Maul. This is kind of unbeatable. Kind of unbeatable. It's a bit insane, but I love it. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention that in recent days, Skirby has updated the mod to include different types of lightsabers. We have access to a Plasma Claymore, so that we can have a Kylo Ren style Claymore sort of lightsaber, really freaking cool looking. We also have a Reverse Saber, which gives us more of a Starkiller kind of vibe from Force Unleashed. I love this, and I would have used it on this build if not for Darth Maul using a double-bladed saber. If you're super crazy, you can also dual wield these and get even more power out of it if you're really crazy. The Reverse Sword also has access to some different abilities, like Raging Barrage instead, and Force Blitz, teleport to an enemy and strike for 11 to 21 force damage. This is just a really cool, fun weapon to be able to mess around with when you're playing your game. And that's how you become the ultimate Sith Lord in Baldur's Gate 3. The Way of the Force Monk plus the Dark Saber mod makes for an absolutely insane Darth Maul build. And I gotta say, it feels amazing to wreck enemies like this. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and let me know in the comments what build you want to see next. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more Baldur's Gate 3 mod guides, builds, and all the best ways to break the game. Also, don't forget to join the Sisterhood on Discord. Link will be in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay beefy, sisters. See you in the next one.